Hey, my name is Kurt, and welcome back to Top Agent Training. We are going to spend a few minutes. This is going to be very basic, but if you've never seen it before, I think it'll be really helpful. And for your buyers that have either maybe a first time, never bought a house, or they're kind of curious, we get weird questions when people are scheduling an inspection sometime, like, are you going to look at the roof? Are you going to look at the HVAC? So we do have one video, it's like 10, 12 minutes long, that kind of is like a deep dive on all of it. But as a newer agent, or maybe not, if you're trying to be a top agent, you should kind of know what to expect out of the inspection process for a roof, okay? And if you want, there'll be trainings on every section of the template, so you can kind of get a better idea of if you're not working with us, what an inspector should be looking for. Okay, so roof section of our template, just so you can see actually how robust it is, because if there's nothing wrong with the roof, you're not actually going to have seen all this, but the inspector saw it. So the first thing we do is, as you're probably aware, we have our snapshot section. So whether it's a drone video for a tile roof or a roof that's inaccessible really high up, we use 4K drones, or if it's a roof that we can actually walk on, we do take a video of the roof just to give a little bit of a synopsis of what we saw on the day up. So that's the first thing. SOP is what the state and NACHI requires us to actually report on. So how old do we think the roof is? How do we inspect it? And then that it's in good shape. This is a stupid Arizona thing, but they make us say it's in good condition except for where we note it. Like, no shit, Sherlock. But, you know, that's the board, and they are what they are. Okay, so what we also do is we will, because we have drones, all of us are drone licensed, we will do, we will give a little write-up about multifamily. So if it's a 4-story condo, we'll still put the drone up and give the buyer an idea of what the roof looks like, because even though it's not part of the inspection necessarily and they can't negotiate anything with it, it gives them some knowledge about what they're moving into, because they are 1/64th, 1/200th, 1/800th, whatever of the new HOA, and they can have some discussions with the HOA if there's money saved up, the condition of the roof, and all that kind of stuff. But we do tell them, hey, this is not a full investigation of the roof, just for informational purposes if it is multifamily. If there was a limitation, I'm recording this in Phoenix, but so sometimes parts of the roof are inaccessible for whatever reason. I mean, if you're right next to an airport, I'm not going to be able to fly the drone, and I think there's like 7 airports around here. It's a little bit crazy. We do have ways to get around some of that, but not if you're like right on top of the airport. So if you're in an area, if you're watching this video in an area where you have winter, maybe it's covered in snow, this would be where like we couldn't evaluate the whole thing. So the first thing we're looking at is the roof, like the whole point of the roof, like sometimes people get lost on this, it's very simple. It's just to keep the weather out. It's to keep the sunshine out when it's really hot. It's to keep the rain, snow, sleet, basically going to keep all water penetration out of the house. That's it. It's not difficult, right? But because it's facing up and weather mostly comes from up, we're not going to do things like stucco, and that's why flat roofs tend to not last as long as like a slope roof, which can just withstand the bombardment a little bit easier. So the first thing we're looking at is roof water removal, which would be rain gutters, flat areas, and if there's any flashing issues around chimneys around the edge, right? If there's issues with the chimney, those are all right here. Is the design of the roof, is there, like in other words, you ever see parts of the roof, maybe on an older house where the roof is doing this number, but then there's a chimney? So this area right here is gonna accumulate tree debris and water, and it's gonna get damaged, deteriorated, and leak way before the rest of the roof, just because of all that stuff getting right in there. So we would point those kinds of things out. If there's trees or vegetation like right up, like actually touching the roof, we put that there. This is informational. Like if we know a shingle roof is 15 years old, we're gonna put less than 5 years of life left on it, because at the end of the day, you just don't usually get more than 20 years out of a shingle roof. If it's a flat roof that's 10, 12 years old, we might write that down. We just want we're not trying to scare anybody, we're just trying to have the client have an understanding that, hey, you're closer near the end, because again, remember, it's brand new to them. They're not thinking this way. They're thinking, I'm buying a new house, you know, but the roof is 12 years old. If you bought a 12-year-old car, it would have an odometer on it. You'd realize that it has 130,000 miles on it. You wouldn't be surprised when the water pump goes bad, right? But with a roof, if they get a leak 6 months after buying the house and it's a 12-year-old flat roof, they're like, I want them to understand. Same thing with the underlayment on tile roofs. If they're more than 15 years old, you get into that 20-year mark where the underlayment usually has to be replaced. it is what it is, and it's an expensive endeavor. So we have lifespan issues, sagging, soft spots. If a shingle roof has more than one shingle layer, there's a write-up about that because their costs are going to be more when they go to replace it. You're not really supposed to do that. Vents, there's always problems with vents because they get nailed down and the sealant wears away after 4 or 5 years, but nobody ever goes up there and looks at it. So those are points of penetration where there could be leaks. And then you could see here, you see how those are blue and that's gray? So when we are on site, we basically add the type of roof that we find. If we find multiple types of roof, we can add multiple types of roof. So here in Phoenix, the most common answer is concrete clay tile. So if I click there, when I'm on site writing the report, I now click that, add concrete tiles, and then there's a whole write-up, new or old, it doesn't matter, that tells the clients some information about underlayment and how even though your tiles might be in fine shape, you got to replace the underlayment every 20, 25 years. And then we have all the issues for potential tiles, right? And then if you were to go to like a flat roof, same kind of thing, how to maintain a flat roof, and then ponding, alligating, gaps, just the issues that come up. So basically, those are all the potential things we're looking for with the roof itself. We do bring in like chimney and vents that are technically not part of the roof, but it's all about, on the roof, it's all about keeping water out. So that's what that whole roof section is about. So again, you'll have the video, you'll have an age estimate, and you'll have how we inspected it, and then any of the other defects that we talked about there. So that's what we do for the roof.